Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. So I wanted to talk about Negan and the Commonwealth, and we're getting to that part of the story now where I think we got to start to really think about how these character stories are going to end, how much importance they're going to get, and how you wrap up everything, right? And I'm not talking about stuff that's happened in season 10 or 9 or even some storylines from season 8, unless it depends on the character, right? Like, and a character like Ezekiel from season 7, or even Negan from season 7, right? I guess he was there from season 6, but you got to figure out how to go kind of, I don't want to say full circle, because you shouldn't be going full circle all the time. You can't just keep using that same story tactic, right? But ending the story in a way that services the character, sometimes boring from the beginning and wrapping it all around sometimes works, but you do need to end the overall story. So you got to look back at the purposes of the characters' introductions, and when you end that character's story on the show, anyways, obviously there's going to be spinoffs and movies. They're going to continue on, but will it service the show? Is it satisfying enough for fans, right? And I want to focus on Negan for this video because he's that one character that is obviously going to get a ton of spinoffs. He's going to get a lot of opportunity to have a bigger story, to do movies, to be in the Rick movies maybe, right? Like, he's going to have a lot of opportunity. But, I mean, as a fan, you also want to have a very exciting story here for the end. You also want the character's ending to matter, right? And so that's where I wanted to talk about here. Like, what is Negan going to do here in the final season, or at least in part 2, and even in part 3? And I think a lot of that has to do with Sebastian. So before going any further, obviously, if you are new here, make sure to be a subscriber if you want more Walking Dead content like this. And just a reminder, this Saturday night, or I guess it's going to be Sunday early in the morning around actually we'll probably stream about an hour beforehand. So it could be like 1:30 Eastern, 1:30 a.m. Eastern on Sunday. So it's going to be early in the morning. I will be live on Twitch. We're going to do some gaming and stuff, but I'm going to be watching episode 9 of World Beyond. And so, I'm really excited for that. If you join the stream, we'll be able to watch it at the same time, sort of thing. And then we'll do a little Q&A afterwards and react to it and stuff. So if you want to follow my Twitch, the links are down below. It's just at Appetite for the Dead. We're almost at 1,700 followers, so it'd be super cool to get to that soon. But yeah, I'll see you guys this Sunday when it comes to that. So, like I said, Negan versus Sebastian. I really think this is first of all, we have no proof at all that they're even going to interact. We haven't seen any footage of their interactions. We haven't even seen Negan at the Commonwealth yet, right? Like, that stuff just kind of came out through like leaks and all of that. So Negan, as we know, as of now, doesn't have any interaction with Sebastian, but we obviously know that he is going to end up at the Commonwealth. And so what's the purpose there, right? And so that's why I bring up the Negan versus Sebastian thing, because, Sebastian is a very fascinating character in that he's very Joffrey-esque, right? He's definitely going to annoy you and piss you off. He's going to be the villain more so than Pamela Milton. And I mean, Pamela is still going to be frustrating too, because she's going to condone that behavior, right? And I think Negan, somebody who doesn't really put up with shit, right? I think that's going to be really fun. And it's not even that he doesn't put up with shit. Like, Daryl doesn't put up with shit either. A lot of the other characters don't put up with shit, but they may keep their mouth closed and they may not act on it right away, right? Like, I feel like, Daryl might act on it a little bit. Carol, she doesn't really put up with shit either, but I think she's a little smarter than Daryl and Negan. Like, I think she's going to be like, I can act now or like react to this now, knock him out or do whatever, but I'm going to get in trouble. So I'm going to play my cards. I'm going to play my cards wisely here, right? And so she'll go in with a tactic that I think in the long run is probably smarter for her own survival. Whereas Daryl, I still think he has hints of that. He will also do that as well. He's not so reactive. He is, but he is. And I think he's learned his lesson with that. Negan, though, he talks too much, right? Like, that's the essence of that character. He talks way too much. And so I could totally see him talking himself into trouble. And that's why I bring up this dynamic between Negan and Sebastian, because that could be a really fun part of part 2 if they're actually going to do that. We know that a certain part of the story is going to focus on Negan and Maggie, and a lot of them, I guess, repairing that relationship, I would say. And obviously they're not going to be able to stick together, but you can kind of see how it can work. We saw on that trip to the Reaper base that it can kind of work, and it's a little different. And I will say that, like, that's the one thing about the Reaper arc that I guess was sort of a benefit to the whole thing, is that as fans, it's a little bit easier to see Maggie and Negan together and kind of working together, right? Because we saw them together so much. We saw them have like normal conversations, And it was just a bit easier to put two and two together. Whereas I think beforehand, it was just like, how the hell are they going to be in the same room, right? Now it's a little bit easier, even though I wish that that they would have fleshed it out a little bit more, but that stuff might be coming soon in part 2, right? And so, yeah, Negan's going to be dealing with that a little bit, but obviously he will be at the Commonwealth. And so that's where I think the Sebastian stuff could be interesting, because I think Daryl and Carol, they're likely going to do a lot of investigative work, right? I think that's going to be their whole thing, is trying to discover what's going on here at the Commonwealth. And Angela Kang described part 2 as very much like a thriller, right? And so, I mean, picture, what's that movie called? It was Law Abiding Citizen. It was, like just classic thrillers like that, where it's people trying to discover things within the government and this and that. And it's, I basically think that's going to be Daryl and Carol's, their whole thing. Mostly Carol, I would say. There's this shot of Carol. It looks like she's just so suspicious. Like, I think that's, it's one shot, but I actually think it makes sense that would be Carol's sole storyline. Like, she's going to be taking the reins for this one. I think Daryl's going to play a role in that, but also have a part of the story, I think, connected with Mercer and what Mercer's going through, and then some of the military things there, which could be related to the Civic Republic. And then you know what I mean? Like, the drama is going to be kind of spread around. Some of that chaos and story will be spread out to characters like Eugene and Princess, who are going to be dealing with Lance and the more political thing, and Carol might have some interactions there, but we know Negan's going to be there. And so what the hell is he going to do? And that's where I actually could totally see him having or playing a role more with Sebastian, and probably being the one character that's going to get in trouble, right? I could totally, I mean, Eugene did it, but I can see Negan getting in trouble for punching Sebastian out, right? Like, I can totally see that happening. And so I actually do wonder if he's going to be that character that, gets arrested and is almost the vocal leader of the riots that happen. If it's specifically him that encourages a lot of people, right? Because he is very, very persuasive. And I was thinking about it, he used to be the leader of the Saviors. He is very charismatic. He's a leader. He can persuade a lot of people to do things. And so I think, say he gets in trouble with Sebastian and he ends up in jail, and there's other people there, I think he could spread the word around. I think that if he wanted to get out of there, create this riot, like, honestly, and I mean, I could totally see Carol and Daryl having some interaction with him as well. If they see that he's in jail and they're trying to get him out, or kind of thing, and then they learn that, oh, like, Pamela Milton's doing this, Sebastian's doing this, it's really messed up shit, then I could see Negan spreading the word around to other people in jail, and then eventually riots start and stuff. And I could totally see that being a thing. And that could be really one of the last parts of his story here, right? Because again, it kind of connects back to who he used to be. He used to be a savior, right? Or he was the leader of the Saviors. He led people. I could totally see him here leading a lot of the Commonwealth, protests and a lot of the rioting that happens here, right? And maybe things get out of control or whatnot, but I could totally see that being a thing. I think that's kind of in line with the character, because I think he needs a more personable arc. He needs an arc more focused on him and not Maggie. I think they have a few things here to wrap up with Maggie, and we'll get that. But I want a more, like I said, personable arc here with the character. I want to just spend time with him and focus on something else other than Maggie, because it's been kind of frustrating. That's why I really liked his arc with Beta and the Whisperers, because it was kind of nice to have him doing something else. And not even that, though. Even throughout that arc, it was still always, you killed Glenn, you killed Abraham, you started the Savior War. So, he always had that element to it. It would be nice for him to just be completely equal to everybody else here in this arc. So yeah, I'll leave the video here. I just wanted to bring this up with you guys. Do you think Negan is going to have, I guess, the arc that I said he would have? Or if you think differently, what do you think he's going to do with the Commonwealth? Because we know he's going to end up there at some point. It might not be until episode 12 or 13, but at some point he will end up there. And what happens when he's there, right? What kind of interaction is he going to have with everybody? And is it possible that maybe he does get exiled from Alexandria and then ends up over there? I will say at this point, I don't see that being a possibility, just because Maggie would have to, like, she's almost, it seems like it anyways, she's almost gotten to the point where she's like, yeah, you know what, you're all right. I can't really be around you, but I can live with you. I can see how I can live with you, right? I think she's actually closer to that than, like, get the fuck out of here, right? So I would say I don't think he's going to be exiled now unless there were people in Alexandria that would be pissed off about it. But if anyone's going to be pissed off about anything, it's Maggie. So I think if she's cool with it, everyone else for the most part will get over it and be cool with it because other people do see his value, right? So yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. Definitely post your thoughts down below on my ideas here and stuff. Also, if you haven't joined the Discord yet, I really recommend doing so if you want to be a part of a huge Walking Dead community that is really growing every day. It's so much fun, honestly. It's so much fun to communicate with everybody. I mean, it's nice to have something else to do because I made Twitter to communicate with everybody, but Twitter is very much just like state your opinion, right? Like you can't really have a conversation with people. You're just tweeting your opinion, and who gives a shit about opinions, right? Honestly, that's what I hate about Twitter. Like I'll tweet something and I'm like, man, I'm tweeting this like people care about my opinion. You know what I mean? It's kind of stupid, but on Discord, it's an actual conversation, and you can jump in at any point. You go into any of the channels there. There's channels for all the different Walking Dead shows, other things too, like Last of Us, Marvel Cinematic Universe. The list goes on and on. There's anime there as well. We just opened up that channel. It's nice to just jump in there and then see someone having a conversation, and then just kind of join the conversation and talk about whatever, right? So the Discord link is down below. It's the server name is Appetite for the Dead. I would love to see you guys there, but thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.